Hey, Dirt Farmer Jay here from dirtfarmerjay.com. Do you have these stickers in your yard? Boy, they can be really brutal and really scary, but they don't need to be. Hey, stay tuned and I'll tell you how to win the war against these little devils. Hey, Dirt Farmer Jay here from dirtfarmerjay.com. When we were kids, we used to call these little things stickers. Well, they come under a lot of different names. All of them sound really bad because this is one bad weed. We knew them also as goat heads. They're also known as CALTROP, and also sandburr, puncture vine. And here's your Latin lesson for the day. Their botanical name is Tribulus terrestris. Something you might find interesting is that first part of that botanical name, Tribulus, actually refers to the ancient medieval weapon of a caltrop that was laid on battlefields that horses or foot soldiers would step on and lame them. Ouch! Bad stuff. And you can see how they got its name. First, I'm going to tell you all the tricks this weed has up its sleeve to make sure it thrives and it gets in places you wish it didn't. The second thing we're going to do, I'm going to tell you how to use its own tricks against it to be able to control this and win the war against the caltrop. All right, here's at least 6 characteristics this plant has that allows it to infest new areas. Number 1, the amount of seed it produces. The individual plant will produce anywhere between 500 and 2,000 seeds per plant. So you get an area, you do the math, you can quickly overwhelm an area. Number 2, that seed is viable for up to 7 years, meaning that it could be transported or dropped in the area the original infestation happened, and it can wait up to 7 years to sprout to life. How's that for putting its odds in its favor? It's also easily transported because of its caltrop multi-pronged shape that gets stuck in footwear, tires, farm implement, hooves of animals, the fur of cats or dogs, and then is combed off or groomed off another area or broken off, and therefore the magic starts all over again. Here's another thing, another trick up its sleeve. Its growth habit is prostrate. It is very flat. It's a mat-like plant emanating from a single crown in the middle, and it radiates out from there very, very flat, and you can't really see it from a distance until you walk up on it and look down on it. So therefore it can be very stealthy, get a foothold, and so, you know, it can get a jump start. The next thing that is really against you is that it germinates all season long. Many plants really germinate early in the growing season when the warmth comes on. This plant has the ability to germinate throughout the growing season. So you may control in one area, pull a bunch, burn them off, whatever it might be, and then you come back and find the same area has new growth of new plants because they've continued to germinate through the warm season. This plant thrives in areas that other plants don't do well in. Neglected areas, disturbed soil, someplace that's really sunny, sandy, and even they'll thrive in droughty conditions due to the taproot they throw down to pull up needed soil, and even the leaf structure, which are very small little leaves, don't lose a lot of moisture, so they become very well adapted to thrive in areas that desirable plants don't. So what do? So let's start with the idea that you've walked around your property and you find green plants that are growing right now. If they are small and they do not have yellow blooms on them, they can be controlled with just regular old weed killer of some kind. It's up to you if you want to use an organic control, you want to flame them with a weed burner, you want to use a 2,4-D or a glyphosate type thing. That's your decision. But what I'm saying is the plants will kill off very easily using standard herbicide type of approaches or torching. So you can burn off the baby ones. If they're further along and they're getting sizable and you're seeing little yellow blooms all over them, chances are they've already started to go to thorn. And you'll see the seed pods, which actually are, will fall apart when they're dry or even just semi off the plant they'll start to fall apart, and that's where the seeds are contained in and get transported. So at that point, to minimize seed drop and to get them out of the ground, you're gonna pull them at the center of the weed, right at the crown where all of the branches come together. You can actually use an ungloved hand because the thorns are not there, but heck, you're working in a patch of them, so I would use full shoe wear, gardening gloves, and you're gonna reach and tug that out or cut the taproot. Carefully lift the plant up, and if it's intertwined with others, try to separate it a little bit so you're not dragging the thorns off, and dispose of it. Do not compost it. Don't throw it anywhere else. You know, you say, well, I'll handle it later. It either needs to go in a burn pile, a burn barrel, and be burned, or it goes in the waste stream in a trash can and gets hauled away. You don't want those babies coming back to life. Okay, so that's the first one. If you have, or the first and second, baby plants, ones that are actively blooming and are creating thorns. The third thing is if you have a dried plant that has gone through its cycle, it's pretty much lost most of the thorns, but if the thorns are still in place, you can do a couple things. You can pull the plant and collect the seeds by hand. One agricultural publication suggests if you're also growing pumpkins and you've got old pumpkins, rolling pumpkins and picking it up, or a piece of carpet or rubber kneeling mat, something to get as many of those you can and dispose them or pick them out, that's great, get rid of them. However, if they've already been dissipated or they're down in the soil, now your game plan is the following season. And what you do is journal that, mark it, flag it, whatever it takes to remember where these infestation areas are. And when they start up the following season, then that time you would again use the weed controls that we talked about a moment ago, which includes herbicides or flaming, or actual light hoeing does a lot. You can take out thousands of these little weeds just by using a slider hoe of some kind and cutting them off and just hassling them as a very young plant. That'll get you a long way along in controlling these. And then it's an ongoing game of monitoring because of the inbound transport or inbound transport that occurs where things are being brought in by animals and people to your property. If you really want to be a super geek on all things puncture vine, here's a great technical paper that Utah State University put out. I provided the link in the description below. You just click on that and go and download this great paper. And boy, you'll be the hit of the next backyard barbecue, having everything you need to know about puncture vine, how it grows, and how to control it. You know, another thing that happens, if you have a lot of weeds around your yard and they're not this kind of weed, the puncture vine, here's a video that you can watch that are 3 great uses for weeds that really, you don't just have to throw them away. You can put them to use in your yardscape. And while you're at it, check out this other video that YouTube thinks is perfect for your interest, and we think you're gonna enjoy as well. Hey, until the next time, this is Dirt Farmer Jay from dirtfarmerjay.com, enjoying a barefoot walk through the park.